ever get that feeling. Like
Right.
everything looks perfect, right?
Right.
But underneath, there's this pressure. Like it's pulling you down. That's kind of the initial vibe when you look at Valerie, this celebrated motivational speaker, inspiring so many, but like you asked us to explore her private world, it's being eaten away by something really disturbing.
Yeah.
And we've got this whole collection of details about her life. And for this deep dive, we're going beyond that public image. We want to unpack these unsettling events she experiences.
Really get under the surface.
Exactly. So today, based on your request, it's a journey tracing Valerie's escalating distress,
Right.
starting with those subtle signs, then through the increasing strangeness, that frustrating search for answers, and then ultimately these really bizarre revelations about her family history and this, well, entity at the heart of it.
Wow.
Our mission. To dive into all of this, try to understand what it might signify beneath the surface of what looks like a very successful life. So where do we see the first cracks?
The early signs are so interesting because they really highlight this duality. You have Valerie, right, out there offering this message of strength and positivity, but then privately she's tormented by these vivid recurring nightmares, being dragged underwater.
Oh, wow.
It speaks to this primal fear of being overwhelmed, like losing control, even as she projects this, well, image of confidence. Makes you think.
Definitely. And her personal life, at first glance, seems stable. Her mother passed away years ago, father's whereabouts unknown, but she has a loving husband, Ruby. Seems totally devoted.
Yeah.
But then a letter arrives from her village. And this thing, it just darkens her world. Significant impact on her mood.
Like that letter, even though it's initially a mystery, it's this potent catalyst, connects her to her past, her origins, and bam, instant negative shift. Suggests there are unresolved issues, maybe even a sense of foreboding tied to her roots.
Makes you think about, those family ties.
And she seeks solace from a friend, so this isn't just like superficial sadness, it's deep, something she can't resolve through a simple chat.
Right. No, absolutely. And then we see these weird physical symptoms,
Yeah.
this intense itching on her scalp,
Ooh.
constant torment. And we learn she's taking medication for it, but also birth control pills at the same time.
Interesting. The medication thing, right. Could be a coincidence, but the key point is the anti-itch stuff isn't working. So it's not your typical, skin issue.
Gotcha.
And when she goes online for answers, she's so scared by what she finds, she slams her laptop shut. That says something about what she's suspecting, or maybe the terrifying possibilities those results implied.
Like logic is failing.
Yeah, conventional explanations just aren't enough.
Right. It's that point where something more unsettling takes over. And then things get really strange. All these ants show up in her home. And I don't mean a few, I mean a lot. Starting point, destination,
Yeah.
unknown.
So strange. The ants, they add this element that's, I don't know, almost surreal, these tiny creatures,
Yeah.
often associated with things unseen, decay, hidden activity. They become this overwhelming presence.
Like they shouldn't be there.
And their movement, it doesn't make sense, just adds to this feeling that something's really wrong.
A disruption.
Yeah, in her environment.
And following them, it leads to this wild discovery. There's a whole ant colony thriving inside her house. It's not an infestation. It's like a whole other ecosystem living in her walls.
Seriously creepy image.
Oh, it's disturbing. It's like something unseen is growing, taking over.
Like an invasion.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't help but think, is this external thing mirroring some kind of internal invasion or loss of control she's going through with these unexplained symptoms?
I mean, it makes you wonder.
Okay, so we've got disturbing dreams, sudden dark mood, itching, and now ants. Valerie needs answers, right? And she needs a birth certificate for this international tour. That becomes the trigger for her to dig into her past. Problem is she doesn't have one. Thinks her mom might have it.
The birth certificate, it's not just a plot point. It's this gap in her understanding of herself. Her instinct is to go to her mom. It really shows how much she wants a connection to that maternal past. Understand where she comes from.
Makes sense. And this leads her to her aunt. Not just for the certificate, but for this box her mom supposedly left for her.
Okay.
And in their conversations, Valerie's longing for her deceased mother, it's really strong.
That longing, it carries so much weight. It suggests a vulnerability, this deep need for connection, understanding her history. This emotional undercurrent could be a key factor in how these weird events are affecting her.
For sure. So the aunt, she gives her a lead, this locker at a dam where the box might be.
Right.
But when they get there, it's gone. Vanished.
Gone.
Gone. It was a link to her mother, tangible, and now it's gone. It just fuels her search for answers. But also, raises this possibility that someone else is involved in hiding her family history.
Oh, interesting.
Right, and the aunt speculates maybe it was Valerie's father who took it.
The father. He was this absent figure, and now he's suddenly a potential key player in all this. The aunt's suggestion is a hint at hidden motives. Their family is more complex than we thought.
Way more.
Makes you wonder what else is lurking beneath the surface of their history.
Absolutely. So Valerie goes home, and the itching, it gets so much worse. It's unbearable. She's scratching uncontrollably, even disturbing Ruby, who, as we know, is devoted to her.
Wow. The symptoms escalating like that, it really reinforces the idea that this isn't just in her head. It's having a real impact on her body, on her closest relationship. And Ruby's concern, it shows he's a loving partner, but he's also helpless as he watches her suffer.
That helplessness has to be hard.
Yeah.
So she can't find any medical explanation, right? She starts to suspect a genetic link. This idea that she inherited this condition from her mother.
I mean, it's a natural conclusion when there are no other answers, especially with her limited knowledge of her mother's medical history. The mind wants to create order out of chaos.
Exactly. And even with all this going on, she's determined to focus on her tour. She wants normalcy. She even starts wearing a cap to hide her scalp before traveling.
Trying to hide it.
Trying to hide it.
That cap. It's like a symbol, right? Her attempt to control her image, keep this struggle separate from her work. But it feels fragile, like it's going to break under the pressure.
Yeah, I get that. So she's got to find answers, right? This leads her to her father in his village. Turns out he's living as a recluse. Quite a contrast to his past as a soldier.
A recluse, huh? That suggests a man carrying something heavy. Guilt, maybe trauma from his time in the military. The soldier background, well, it hints at a past with violence, maybe exposure to unusual, even extreme circumstances.
Right. And she asks him about the box, straight up. He denies knowing anything. But there's this strange painting in his room. This is what gets her attention, and he ends up telling her this creepy story about Sanchi.
The painting, it's a visual cue, a trigger for the dad's unexpected reveal. And the Sanchi story, this parasitic entity that supposedly lives in humans, feeding off their power, ultimately consuming them.
Oh, wow.
It's a bizarre explanation, but considering all the weird things she's been going through, it might make a strange kind of sense to her.
Right. A parasite lives inside you, drains you until you're gone. Terrifying. It might not be something she fully accepts, but it definitely adds to the fear and unease. And then, get this, she steals his keys. Goes and searches his locker.
Bold move. Stealing the keys shows a shift in her approach. She's not just asking questions, she's actively looking for proof. Doesn't trust her father. Searching that locker, it's a desperate attempt to find anything that might explain her mother, the missing box.
Yeah. She does find her birth certificate, so at least that confirms one part of her past, but the box, still gone. And then, at a dam nearby, she hears this sound, a child crying, and suddenly she's hit with this feeling of drowning.
The crying, the drowning sensation, those are powerful triggers, connected to the nightmares, maybe a buried trauma that's starting to resurface. And the dam itself, it's where the box was supposed to be, right? It feels like a place holding secrets.
Totally. She follows the sound and finds this dimly lit storeroom. And what's in there? Dolls. Classic creepy imagery, right?
Oh, yeah. Dolls in a dark store. It was like frozen innocence, something not quite right.
And then she has a hallucination. Feels like she's being grabbed by all these unseen hands.
Blurs the line between what's real and what's not. Makes you wonder if whatever is affecting her can actually mess with her senses.
Yeah. But it turns out it was just the guard touching her. So, is it supernatural? Or is her mind just messing with her under all this stress?
That's the question, isn't it?
Big question. She goes home, and she's just confused by everything, more and more confused.
I mean, who wouldn't be? Bizarre symptoms, creepy stuff happening at home, a story about some entity, and now maybe hallucinations. No logical explanation. It's got to be messing with her head.
Absolutely. And she's going through the things she found in her father's locker, old photos. She sees her dad in uniform, her mom, so beautiful, and it hits her. She never knew how her mother died.
That's huge. Not knowing about her mother's death leaves this hole in her history. And now she needs to fill it. The photos, they make those unanswered questions even more urgent.
Yeah. And then comes a major discovery. In one of the photos, she sees an allergy mark on her mother's hand. It's the exact same mark she saw online when she was researching her itching.
Wow. It's a direct link. Suddenly, it's not just some random thing. It's connected to her mother. It deepens the mystery around her mother's life and death.
For sure. And with all this going on, Valerie gets more and more irritable. It's straining her relationship with Ruby.
Yeah, I can see that happening. All this inner turmoil spills over into her relationship, even though he's been her rock. It shows how isolating this whole experience is for her.
Definitely. She's desperate to stop the scratching.
Hmm.
So desperate, she starts wearing gloves, even tying her hands together at night.
Tying her hands.
Tying her hands,
Yeah.
trying to restrain her own body.
That's a powerful image. Shows how intense the itching is, how little control she has. It's really messing with her sense of self.
Yeah. But then she wakes up, and the gloves are gone, her
Yeah.
hands are untied, and the scratching is worse.
Gone.
Gone. It's like her body is working against her.
Like something else is in control.
Exactly. This is where the idea of an external entity really takes hold, at least for her. She needs answers, so she takes that photo with the allergy mark to her aunt. And the aunt's reaction? Sadness. She says maybe Valerie's mother was cursed or under some kind of spell. That's what caused her death.
Adding a layer of the supernatural, hints at a family affliction, maybe a dark history,
Yeah.
curse, or smell. It's not medical, but it represents these unseen forces, these burdens.
Right. And Valerie asks about her father's role in all this, but the aunt avoids the questions, even warns her to stay away from him.
That's suspicious. Big red flag. She knows more than she's saying. Valerie might be in danger if she keeps digging.
Definitely. And the strangeness continues. She's at a photo shoot, all these bright lights, and she sees another shadow next to hers. No logical explanation. She's terrified.
Another shadow. A visual manifestation of the unseen. In that bright public setting, it's even more jarring, blurs the lines of reality.
For sure. At home, she keeps scratching, hiding it from Ruby. She's lying to him about her injuries, which just makes things worse between them.
Lies and secrets create distance. She can't share what she's going through, so she's isolated. Can't get the support she needs.
Right. And then Ruby finds her birth control pills. They have a huge fight. She tells him to stay away, which is just heartbreaking.
It's a turning point. She pushes away the one person who's been there for her, shows how destructive this whole thing is, how it's affecting her relationships.
Yeah. Another night, she ties her hands again, but wakes up, hands untied, more injuries.
Yeah.
This just cements her belief that something else is controlling her.
At this point, it's beyond rational explanation. Her attempts at control are being undone. It has to be an outside force.
Right. So she sees the ants again. This time she follows them. They lead her to a wall in her house, and she starts breaking it down.
The ants, always there. They're like this physical reminder of the unseen, breaking the wall. It's like she's trying to break through the unknown, expose whatever's hidden.
Literally and figuratively. But she's interrupted. Her father shows up. He's worried because she hasn't been answering his calls. And then he confesses.
Wow, the father's arrival, right when she's about to break through. It feels like he knows she's getting close to the truth. Or maybe the Sanchi is getting stronger, harder to ignore.
He starts by saying her mother was a good person, but then he tells her about his past. He was a soldier, and he killed an enemy soldier, a girl, who had some kind of power. He says her spirit entered him and then attached itself to his wife.
This changes everything. Now there's a supernatural origin story for their family's problems. A vengeful spirit moving from father to mother to daughter. It's a crazy explanation.
He calls it Sanchi. Says he tried to save her mother from it, but failed. And that the Sanchi passed to Valerie when she was born. That's his explanation for everything that's happening to her. He even admits he knew about the strange events, the connection to the Sanchi.
Wow. So he's giving her this framework, right? This idea of the Sanchi as this inherited burden explains the nightmares, the itching, the feeling of being controlled. But it's all based on the supernatural idea.
Right. And then he says something truly chilling. He admits he drugged her tea to keep her from reacting to this information.
Drugging her. That's manipulation, plain and simple. It casts doubt on his whole story, his intentions.
Yeah. Valerie wakes up, remembers everything. She doesn't just accept it. She searches her house and finds newspaper clippings, other evidence that reveals the truth. Her father murdered her mother.
That's devastating. The Sanchi story, a lie. A cover-up for his own violence. The evidence is there. His betrayal is just, it's so deep.
It is. And then there's this sudden downpour. It triggers a flashback. She sees her mother at the window, and then the memory of her father drowning her.
Wow. The rain is a sensory trigger, unlocking this repressed memory. The truth comes out, shattering the illusion her father created.
She's consumed by rage, grief. She confronts him, destroys his stuff, demands answers.
Her reaction is totally understandable. The betrayal, the grief, it's all too much. Destroying his things, it's a way to express her anger, her pain.
Right. But he still denies killing her, sticks to the Sanchi story, says it was too powerful, her death was an accident.
He's clinging to that story, even with evidence against him. It's either delusion or he just can't face what he did.
He even claims her mother was trying to protect Valerie from the Sanchi, that she sacrificed herself but failed. And now the Sanchi is with Valerie.
Trying to paint himself as the good guy even though he murdered her mother. It's a desperate attempt to justify his actions.
Yeah, Valerie's terrified. It's too much. She leaves his house.
She's at a breaking point. The truth about her mother's murder, the possibility of this entity, it's overwhelming.
And she's got this international seminar coming up. She's determined to do it, but she's also worried about the itching. She wears a cap to hide it, tries to hold things together.
It's like she's clinging to normalcy. The cap, it's still there, hiding her struggle, but the pressure is building.
It is. And during her speech, which is all about knowing yourself, she starts scratching under the cap. She can't control it.
The scratching, it's a public display of her internal struggle. The theme of her speech, it clashes with what she's actually going through.
Right. And then she looks in a mirror, sees her reflection, the shadow from the lights, and another shadow. She knows it's the Sanchi.
It's real! The Sanchi's shadow, it confirms her father's story, even though he lied about everything else.
She breaks down, collapses on stage, scratching uncontrollably. It's a disaster.
The pressure finally breaks her. Her carefully built image shatters and her suffering becomes public.
She runs off stage, hides in her car. But she keeps scratching so violently that she creates a hole in her scalp. She sticks her finger in, damages her brain, passes out.
Oh, God. That's horrific. Shows how out of control she is. The struggle is so intense, it manifests in this physical act. It could kill her.
Luckily, Ruby finds her, takes her to the hospital. She's saved. And in the hospital, with the dim lights, the Sanchi becomes visible. It's actually there, tormenting her.
So creepy. The Sanchi becomes real right there in the hospital. And Ruby, despite everything, he saves her.
He does. But something's different with Valerie. She's not afraid anymore. She sees the entity, and she wants to fight it.
That's a huge change. Confronting the Sanchi, not just the fear of it, empowers her, gives her a reason to fight back.
As she fights, her condition improves. The Sanchi's control weakens. Ruby's there, making sure she doesn't touch her head because the scratching caused partial paralysis. She has to learn to walk again.
Wow. Her physical recovery, it's tied to her mental and emotional state. Ruby's support is crucial. Learning to walk again, it's like a metaphor for her whole struggle.
Yeah. And he ties her hands at night, but she still wakes up with them untied, scratched.
Yeah.
It just proves something else is at work. And then Ruby finds scissors. He thinks she's hurting herself on purpose.
Oh, no. That's tragic. The misunderstanding, the lack of communication. He doesn't know the truth about the Sanji, so he draws the wrong conclusion.
Yeah. He gets angry, leaves, feels like he can't help her.
He's at his wit's end. It's heartbreaking. She's alone now, facing this alone.
And in her despair, she watches her own motivational videos, finds comfort in her own words.
That's powerful. Finding strength in herself. She still believes she can overcome this.
And she decides to confront the Sanchi directly. She sedates Ruby, goes into a room filled with mirrors.
A room full of mirrors. Symbolic, right? She's confronting the entity in her own fractured self.
She demands to know what it is, what it wants. Then, a hand emerges from one of the mirrors. The Sanchi. It grabs her.
It becomes real. The hand, it's a classic horror image. The threat is tangible now.
It says it'll never let her go, even holds a knife to her throat. She screams. Ruby wakes up, tied to the bed.
The stakes are so high now, it's life or death. And Ruby, he can't help her. He's trapped.
She knows she has to stop the scratching. So she decides to cut off her own hand. She marks it, puts it under a cutter, hesitates because of the pain, but then she does it.
Oh my God, cutting off her own hand, it's shocking. But it shows her desperation. She'll do anything to regain control, even this.
It's brutal. The shock, the pain. She tries to stop the bleeding, and then she decides to cut off her other hand too.
It's extreme, but for her, it's the only way to be free. It shows how far she's willing to go to survive.
But then the Sanchi's behind her, grabs her, but Valerie's not afraid anymore.
She's not afraid. That's a big shift. The power dynamic has changed. She's not letting fear control her anymore.
She talks to it, then forces its hand under the cutter, cuts it off. Ruby hears the struggle.
She fights back, turns the tables on the Sanchi. It's brutal, but she's fighting for her life.
She attacks it with the cutter, but its body parts start regenerating. It's terrifying. She tries to escape.
It's like a monster in a movie. Regenerating, it's a reminder that this is a supernatural being, not easy to defeat.
The Sanchi catches her again, says it'll never let her go, but Valerie says neither of them will survive. She drags it toward the water and jumps in.
Water. It's like she's figured something out. She's willing to risk everything, even her own life, to defeat this thing.
They're underwater, and the Sanchi weakens. She holds onto it, won't let go, and then she understands why her mother jumped in the water years ago, to kill the Sanchi.
It all makes sense now. The water, the mother's sacrifice. It was never murder. It was a desperate fight.
Her father didn't kill our mother. It was the Sanchi. Her mother's death was a sacrifice.
The truth comes out. It changes everything. It wasn't murder. It was a heroic act.
Ruby pulls her out of the water. In her hand, there's this tiny, weak version of the Sanchi. It dissolves.
It's gone. Dissolved in the water. Ruby saves her again. He's her anchor.
But then later, we see Valerie. Her hand is healed. She has a baby. Seems happy. But in the last shot, there's a small tick-like creature on the baby's face.
Oh, no. The tick? Is it the Sanchi? Or part of it? It's a chilling ending. Leaves us wondering, is it really over?
So we went with Valerie through this nightmare, from this perfect life to this hidden entity, this family secret. We saw her strength, her resilience,
Yeah.
and the trauma, the terrible things she went through.
It makes you think about what the Sanchi represents. Could it be inherited trauma? This inner struggle that takes on a monstrous form?
And if it is, then what does her fight and that ending mean? Can we ever really escape our past? Or are there always these shadows, these influences? What do you think that tick represents?